and welcome to another episode of Talking with Tanya. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about coping strategies to help with mental health when you're going through a very tough time. So the reason I chose this topic is because I myself I'm 28. I just started over, got out of a long relationship, and I barely came home like a month ago, and I'm unemployed. I don't have a car. So it's very easy to fall into a negative mindset, right? Think that life is not going to go my way. I'm going to fail. I'm not going to get on my feet. Like it can get scary if you let it. And I think it's important to have mental health strategies to help you cope and get through life, especially through the tough times, because it's so easy to just be stressed and overwhelmed and anxious and think it's the end of the world. And I think it's very important to have coping mechanisms and mental strategies to help keep you in the right right mentality, right? Because I think your mindset is the biggest investment you can ever make in yourself. And so I want to go over some of the routines and coping strategies that I've tried to implement, and maybe potentially help someone else out there, because times are tough right now. And I know I'm not the only one struggling, and I still feel very blessed to have everything that I have, the support system that I have, the people I care about that are there for me. And I just want to put this out there, just a disclaimer, I am not a mental health professional. I am just sharing what's helped me. So the first thing I want to talk about is why mental health routines matter, right? So like I said before, it's so easy to become so overwhelmed and anxious about your future, about how you're going to pay this bill, and why this person is not texting me back. And when it's multiple things at once, it can just feel so overwhelming. It can consume you. And some people who do not have the right positive, beneficial coping mechanisms can easily drift away into drinking or drugs. And it's just because all you want is peace. That's our natural state as humans. We want inner peace. And you want to, who wants to live just to deal with problems? Nobody. Right? So we're here to have a good time, and let's try to have that. And we want to succeed, and we want the best for ourselves and for our future generations. And for those who have children, man, I can't even imagine going through tough times with that. So I want to share what can help put you in the right mindset, right? Because your mentality is the best investment that you can ever make in yourself, right? And so it's important to take care of that mentality, to notice what you're feeding it and see where it's affecting you positively or negatively, right? So one of the times where I felt very overwhelmed and anxious, right? I do believe that both the physical and the mental are intertwined, right? So if you have poor mental health, you're going to start seeing physical manifestations come about in your physical body due to that. Because, for example, someone who has major anxiety, which I used to still kind of do, still struggle. I'm working on it. But I've read that those with severe anxiety can then lead to heart issues, because if your heart's always racing, you're overworking yourself, and eventually it's going to start catching up to you. Start having chest pains or irregular heart rhythms, and you don't want that, right? So when I started looking into that, I started telling myself, I got to avoid that. So what does that mean? I have to work on my anxiety, whether I want to or not. That's not a state that I need to be living in anymore. And I got to work on how to manage that, right? What lifestyle changes can I make? What coping mechanisms can I implement in my life that's going to help me reduce the anxiety levels? So what are the examples of me feeling overwhelmed, right? So I started creating content this year, and I'm learning as I'm going, right? When I started posting more consistently on TikTok. So one of my TikTok videos started to get a decent amount of views. And I told myself, how do I beat that? How do I do better than that? So now I'm comparing every video and putting all this kind of pressure on myself that I have to do better than that video. And I couldn't think of content ideas. I was too stressed. I was overthinking. My friends were hanging out. We're trying to watch anime together, and I couldn't even focus. I was, like I said, putting too much pressure on myself. I was worried that I couldn't live up to that one video and that I wasn't enough. And I started to feel a tension headache. So this is where the physical manifestations of your mental health start coming into play. So I started getting them about a couple years ago, and I realized that it's the stress. The stress is causing me to tense up, and it's showing up in my head. And the pain can be so unbearable sometimes. And I'm not a person who takes pills. Don't follow my treatment plans. I am not a professional medical professional. I don't like taking pills. That's just a personal choice of mine. Please don't follow what I do. Always consult with your healthcare professional. But I try to avoid them as much as I can, just for my own beliefs around it. I just want to do lifestyle changes. That's my go-to, right? I want to figure out what's causing the root of the pain versus just putting a band-aid on it. And I think that's what taking medicine is for. Personally, that's just me though. So then I started to think, okay, well, I started to connect the two. I made the pattern. Every time I'm overthinking and I'm stressed and I'm worried, like that's when I'll get these tension headaches. And I'm just like, okay, so I'm so tense. I need to find a way to release this tension. And one of the ways that I found, right, that has really helped is breathing techniques. So there's this video on YouTube. I'll link it in the description below. It's by Clark Kelgley. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name. But he does a guided breathing exercises, right? And I did the same video. And I just sit there and I breathe a certain amount of times at a certain pace, like really fast, in and out, in and out. And then after that, you slow down, you breathe in and out, slower, in and out, until finally you hold your breath for like 40 seconds, right? And then the next round, it's longer and a little bit longer than that. But when you get to the point where you're just like sitting there for like 40 seconds, holding your breath, or no, you exhale first, you let your breath out, you're just sitting there, I feel at peace. The chattering, the mental chatter has just completely disappeared. I feel relaxed, like I'm okay, I'm safe. And it helped release the tension. So my headache was still a little bit there, but it made a difference. And it usually lasts 1 to 2 days. I didn't have it the next day. So it's something that I go to right away. And tell me why, during that, all of a sudden I started getting ideas of what, the kind of content I could start creating again. And I learned. I'm a very insightful person. So I learned from that experience of like what I was going through, right? Because you just have to shift your perspective sometimes on your problems, and you'll see clearly of the resolution, the solution to your problem when you sit down and sit with it versus just letting it run wild or run rampant, right? And I started to think, I need to post myself. That's my goal with my content. I really want to just showcase who I am as a person, my authentic self, my journey, my healing, my self-growth, and because that's the kind of audience I'm trying to attract, right? My people will find me if I am myself. So the whole point is that this breathing techniques really helped de-stress me. So it changed from, having a headache, being in a bad mood because of my headache, and still having the stress. That could have been the other potential outcome, having not had a mental health routine, coping mechanism, versus actually sitting down, taking a step forward to relax and take a pause and help yourself, right? So I did that. And so there's no one size fits all solution to these things, because I've always heard that meditation doesn't always work for some people. I can't sit still, I'm too fidgety, and just a bunch of reasons, right? You're not gonna get it right away at the very beginning. You have to practice. It's a practice. You have to continue doing it. You have to stay disciplined. You have to want it. You have to be intentional. So what is the goal that you're trying to reach by doing this, right? And you have to keep that in mind and stay motivated and want that. Like, I want to stop having anxiety. I want to stop overthinking. I want to de-stress. And I'm going to do that by sitting here and facing my problems. And you know what? When you're fidgety and you're overthinking and it's too overwhelming, sit with that. That's when it's important to stay there. Don't give up. Sit with that and see where it takes you. Don't fight it. So that's what happened with me when I sat down and I just took a breather and the answers came forward. So when you don't have coping mechanisms, life can tend to be very overwhelming. And I can imagine just continuing through life without having any. Like I said, people turn to drugs, to alcohol, and it's just not the right way forward. You're just running from your problems. Instead of sitting with them, you're running away from them. You're letting, yes, the mental chatter would stop, but it's only temporary. And you're now reliant on that other substance to like quiet your mind. So that's where you become dependent on it. That's where it becomes an addiction, right? So be mindful of that. And please, like, love yourself. Affirmation. So that's why I tell myself, I love myself. I respect myself. What does that look like, right? You say it enough times, you're going to be like, okay, if I love myself and I respect myself, what does that look like? Am I putting forth the actions that are consistent with that affirmation? Well, so one of my coping mechanisms that I have is the breathing techniques, right? And that's helped me. Like I said, it's not a one size fits all. You can have other ways to help yourself, cope with life and its challenges. So and I do multiple things, not just one. I walk every morning. I love it because not only am I exercising, right, which is self-care. So I'll get into that because self-care is also a coping mechanism. You need to take care of yourself. I walk, and I also have another podcast episode if you're interested on walking. So many benefits, physical and mental. And so I started walking every morning, and it helps me just have time to myself, for one, because sometimes life can be so chaotic, you forget, like, hey, I want to live too. I want time for myself to enjoy the things that I'm doing. So, and to check in with yourself. Hey, how you doing, buddy? How's your day? How do you want your day to go? Which is an important question to ask, by the way. I really do think so. So you set the intention. You say, hey, buddy, how do you want your day to go? For me, I'm always trying to stay motivated, right? And sometimes, things get in the way. Something comes up. I got to do something for my dad. That's fine. But I want to have the attitude of like, I can take anything that comes my way today, what are the goals you want to complete? I'm going to apply for a couple jobs today, or I'm going to sit down and read, and I want to sit down and work on some content, and just set goals. It helps you set goals, plan the day, and just check in with yourself. And I think that's the important part of coping mechanisms is when you're overwhelmed, you're stressed, is to check in with yourself and make sure you're okay. Another thing I wanted to mention is having a clean home, a clean room. I feel like there's like the saying that says clear space equal clear mind. There are studies that show that people with like clutter or disorganization tend to have higher cortisol levels, so they're a little more stressed. So, and I know cleaning could be a little overwhelming. For me, it's therapeutic. I like to clean, but for those who find it overwhelming, like it's just you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do, that could also be an ADHD thing. Try and break down the whole thing to smaller steps. Make a list. See, okay, like the kitchen, let's do the counter first, or let's do, the microwave, or let's wash dishes first, or let's sweep. No, I would say sweep last because of all the. I just feel like that's something you do last, but that's besides the point. But yeah, there's this saying that says clear space equal clear mind, and I think that's true because it's worked for me personally, and so I started taking my space, the cleanliness of my space a little bit more serious, and some of the habits I started implementing when it comes to having clear space, because sometimes you deep clean your room and then within 2 days, 3 days, it becomes a mess. You got to start having counter habits for the bad habits, if that makes sense. I'll explain. So I used to love throwing stuff on this couch. I would clean it one day, the next day there's already a pile of clothes on it, and I read on Atomic Habits that people have messy rooms because you have these bad habits of making it messy. So what you got to do is have a habit to counteract that. So every time I was done with the clothes I was wearing for the day, I put it away to where it belonged, right? So I don't like to wash my jeans every day. That's how they. I don't know if that's just me thing, but I feel like they go bad faster, especially the black jeans. They fade so fast. But anyways, that's besides the point. So I put the clothes away right away. Put the dirty laundry in the dirty laundry hamper, right? If you bring a plate of food in your room and you're done, put it away right away, right? Go wash it right away. That's how you stop it from accumulating to becoming this massive thing to where it's going to take a bigger portion of your time when it could have just taken, a couple minutes at the time that it took place. So yeah, so that's another way that I've been staying, uh, how I've been maintaining the cleanliness of my space. And I feel like, it works. So I'm a creative, right? And I have mental health coping mechanisms that are very artistic because I'm an artist. I love making jewelry. I like drawing, painting, crochet, podcasting. This is a perfect creative outlet as well. And it helps engage your parasympathetic nervous system where you rest and digest, right? So your sympathetic nervous system, that's when it's your fight or flight. That's when you're in survival mode. You're trying to figure out, what am I going to do to make sure I'm okay? Because I am not okay right now, right? I have all these things on my plate and I got to figure out right now how to make it work. So, and how do you make decisions in that mindset? It's more of an obstacle of anything. And you want to be in the parasympathetic nervous system state to make clear and conscious decisions, to see the problems for what they are. So that's what being grounded means. You want to get all the details of the problem so you can make a conscious decision on how to move forward versus, oh my gosh, but what do I do about this? What do I do about that? I don't know what to do. Who do I ask for help? It can get very overwhelming. It can easily take over. And sometimes when you don't have a coping mechanism, you just put it in the back burner and it continues to be a problem. So like I've said before, one of the quotes that I enjoy is, what is it? It's, you're not stressed because you have a lot to do. You're stressed because you're not doing enough. And it makes sense. To me, it makes sense because now I'm just like I used to hate making phone calls. I was very anxious when I needed to make a doctor's appointment, when I needed to, check on my insurance. I had a question about that. I hated looking dumb or not knowing what I was doing. And there was definitely times where they're like, what are you talking about? Like rude, right? And I just remember feeling so crappy afterwards. I'm like, I'm so dumb. Like I can't believe I can't believe I did that or I said that. And it's just like I started to learn to not beat myself up over it. I started to learn to take it as a learning lesson. Okay, I learned something through this phone call. I did sound dumb, but that's not what I asked is not a question I will be asking again because now I learned from that. And how they reacted to me is not personal. Maybe they're having a bad day. And I'm never going to talk to these people again. And if I do, who cares? They probably won't even remember me. So that's how I started treating myself. I'm trying to be the adult me who should have been there for little me to guide me through life. Yeah, I'm trying to show compassion and empathy towards myself. Stop. If that person's already mean to me, why should I be mean to myself? Like I said, I love myself and I respect myself. And I'm not going to talk to somebody else like that. Why would I talk to myself like that? So I stopped doing that. And yeah, now I can handle phone calls like a boss. And I laugh at myself when I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. My bad. And it makes life easier. I'm living more in my parasympathetic nervous system now than I used to. And it's amazing. And I'm trying to help other people get there as well. So where was I at? Oh yeah, coping mechanisms. So walking is very beneficial. There's fresh air, you're moving, you're in nature. Like it's just, what more can you ask for? I really love it. I used to love it more in my last place because, I was in a forest and it was so beautiful. But now I'm in the desert. I just walk in my yard. It gets the job done. It helps clear my mind. It helps prep for my day. So if you can do it, do it. I recommend it. Okay, so that brings me to self-care routines. You need to take action in taking care of your physical. Remember, the two are intertwined, the physical and the mental. So if you're not taking care of your physical, that could also affect your mental. From the foods you eat, you could be feeling tired if you're drinking too much soda, eating too many snacks, and you want nutrition. If you look at the science of it, each little vitamin and mineral, like protein, just everything that's good for you has a reason to like nourish you. It has a job, right? And if you're lacking in some of those things, like your body's gonna start feeling the effects of it. Like, I'm just tired today. I'm feeling lethargic, or like I'm fatigued, and oh, like I'm in a bad mood. I have a headache. So it's okay to have like sweets, or a dessert every once in a while, but just make sure you're giving yourself, the nutrition that your body needs to be able to sustain itself, or else it's going to be looking for it in other ways and you're going to start to feel the effects of that. Another self-care routine to look into is your physical goals, right? So if you're like overweight, or you don't not the biggest fan of your appearance, like, are you doing anything to change that? Because that's something else on your plate, on top of our already full plate, that you don't want to have to worry about. So like me with my walking, I was 20 pounds heavier, like I want to say a couple months, maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, and I lost it. And it's not something that I'm insecure about anymore. And it's something that's off my plate, right? So make sure to, add a health regimen, a exercise routine, and to take care of yourself, because it's not just about the way you look either. It's about how you're going to feel when you're older. It's going to start, you're going to start feeling the effects the more you age. So it's important to have an exercise routine. Another self-care routine that I implement is skincare. I wash my face. I like to use like natural soaps and what is it called? Beef tallow, right? That helps too. It's very natural. I'm not a big fan of like chemicals. That's just me. Don't listen to me. I'm not a professional of any sort. But I have a routine where I wash my face and I moisturize every night because I want a clear face. So that's something else that you need to implement if it's something you're insecure about. I used to have a double chin. I still kind of do a little bit. And I started doing gua sha along with it. So to have my like sharper jawline back. So when you feel like you look your best, you're going to feel your best. And I think it's important to have these self-care routines to help you feel more confident and being able to have less on your plate, right? So these are important. And I know routines can be so difficult to like stick with. I know I for sure have a struggle, right? But one of the books I recommend, Atomic Habits, right, showed me how to keep habits, how to make habits, and how to keep them and stay consistent with them. So you have to have some sort of habits, right? Anything. Isn't there something you do every single day, like brush your teeth? At least, right? Brush your hair, look at yourself in the mirror. Something. There has to be something you do every day to where you can connect a new habit with it, partner them up together. And I think it's called habit bunching. So every time I brush my teeth at night, that's when I start my skincare routine. It triggers me to like think, okay, this is next. And it became a conditioned response. I did it so often, now the two always happen together. Another thing I do is make my bed every morning. I think that's actually very important. There's another book, I forgot what book it said. It might even be in Atomic Habits, I don't remember. But there's like science behind making your bed every day to where you become more successful. Like the most successful people fix their bed every day. Or statistics. Something about statistics. Don't quote me on that. I just know it's good for you. That's all. So I started fixing my bed every day. That's a habit I created for myself. And I let my dog out, and then I go for my walk. So those are habits that I've implemented. And sometimes I have to wake up early one day and like go work with my dad, or sometimes I have an appointment for something, and it just like disrupts your routines, right? But for me personally, I tell myself, I didn't walk today, I gotta walk later, in the evening. Or and sometimes it's like, oh, it's really late and I don't feel like washing my face. But what I've learned from the habit book is that I catch that thought and I say, the days you don't feel like doing it is the ones that are more important for you to keep the habit. Those are the days that matter most, because it's so easy to lose it and then, continue losing it. You don't feel like doing it. Maybe it's okay to miss it once, but twice, like now you're getting a little too crazy there. Relax. But so what my personal routine may look like is just walking, working on my podcast, right? Making some content ideas, making TikToks. What else do I do? Well, right now I'm challenging myself, right, with my TikTok. I want to post every day for 30 days and minimum once a day, but I've been doing more than that. And that's just a new habit I've been implementing lately. Another thing is, but you know why? Because of the things I'm feeding in my brain. So my algorithm on my TikTok has literally just been showing me other people doing that. That's where I got the idea from. All these people are telling me, just post, just post. Who cares what it is? Just do it. You're not going to get better at doing something and by not doing it. You have to do it in order to get better. That's how you refine your craft. That's how you learn from your mistakes, you know, by taking action. That's besides the point. So I've been doing that. I've been walking. I said walking. I've been making my bed. I want to read again. I haven't really been reading as much lately, but there's like so many books that I need to catch up on. So I've been reading. I've been making teas. I'm such a tea person. I love tea. I have so many different kinds. I just feel like they hold so many health benefits that I don't know, will help me. And I just love the taste. Like at first I didn't. You know, some people don't like the taste of tea, but a little bit of honey, drink it every day. I feel like you'll get accustomed to it. And now I'm a big tea fan. But so I'll drink tea every night. I do my skincare. Exercise. So on top of walking, I come in and I do some home exercises with like push-ups. I used to struggle at doing one push-up. Now I could do 15 in a row. That's crazy. And the thing is, it's like, I don't set goals, right? That's another habit thing is don't focus on what it is you want, because that's all you're going to be thinking about. And it's like, I don't want to do this. I just want what I want already. And it's going to be, the path for it is so long, and it feels like a drain because every day you're thinking like, how much longer until I get the results I want? No, you got to become the person that does it, right? I don't just walk because I have a fit body or whatever. I want a fit body. I walk because I'm a walker. It's part of my identity now. It's who I am. I'm just a walker. I'm a reader, right? So I don't focus too much on like the destination. Focus on making it a part of your identity is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, those are just some of the things that I do every day. Something I do worry about is eventually when I do get a job that I'm gonna have to navigate, you know, like my routine. I'm gonna have to change things around. I'm hoping that I don't have a lot on my plate, because I know content creation, it takes a lot of my time and energy. So, but I think I have an optimistic worldview, and I feel like I can make anything work. So don't think I'm not gonna be posting anymore. The goal is to post once a week, every Friday. I know I haven't been consistent with that, but that's the goal. So I think that's it for this episode. I hope what you found is very beneficial. I hope this found the right audience, the people that needed to hear this. Share. Can you share what's in your routines, right? What helps you? What are some of your mental health coping mechanisms? And you know, I'll leave my email down below if you want to talk, if you have any ideas, if you can share what's worked for you. If you need help with me giving you ideas, you know, I can help with that too. You can DM me on Instagram. I'll leave my handle in the description below. But thanks for being here and talking with Tanya. I appreciate it. And thank you for listening. Take care of yourself. Peace out.